Here we are for Halloween Ends, and truthfully, I'm still processing this. But let's get right into it. Of course, I will warn you before I get into the spoiler section of the film, but here we go, a review for Halloween Ends. 4 years later, here we are. Laurie and her granddaughter are now living in Haddonfield, trying to move on, which is interesting considering the fact that now that Michael is missing, not locked up, where he's not supposed to be able to get out, but when he's missing is when we decide to move on and try to better and relax a little bit in our life. I gotta say, right from that start of the movie, I told myself, let go, don't take this too seriously. This is the 13th slasher film in this series, so relax. Don't put the mathematical equations to everything and just have fun, which I did. And a young man named Corey Cunningham is a babysitter one fateful night when a horrible accident happens where the kid he's babysitting plummets to his death. And I gotta say, that is gotta be one of the most brutal scenes in this series, period. I mean, let's just say this movie starts out with the death of a child, and a brutal death of a child, mind you. Gotta give some points to that, that's ballsy. As the story envelops, we see Corey Cunningham becoming the town pariah. People don't like him, they blame him for what happened, not knowing really the story or what was going on. They just assume he's the killer. And that infection grows on Corey. He becomes more withdrawn, more hate in his heart. He's now looked at as evil, which is going to be the theme of this movie. Laurie Strode seemingly trying to live the best life she can in Haddonfield. She's working on her memoir, a book about what's going on with her and Michael Myers. And the granddaughter is now working at a hospital, and she's trying to do her own thing as well. So seemingly, this movie starts out where, for the most part, everybody's doing okay. That's until Corey Cunningham crosses paths with Laurie and her granddaughter. Downward spiral of Corey will not only infect himself, but also affect everyone around him. And that's when we're going to see the darkness invade in Haddonfield yet again. Also, let it be known that since Michael Myers has been missing, it's shown that the town of Haddonfield has grown dim in despair all and of itself. There is suicides, people killing themselves. The town of Haddonfield has seemingly gotten no better as a whole, despite the fact that Michael Myers has been AWOL for 4 years. They show a clip of one woman who hung herself outside of her home, which is pretty brutal to look at. So the themes of this movie are pretty dark right from the start, with kids dying and people killing themselves. Haddonfield, a great place to live. We'll stop with the story of the film right here, because obviously I don't want to get into too much of it if you haven't seen the film yet. They take some interesting turns and risks that, even though we've talked about it with this movie, and even though us on my podcast and friends, we've all kind of made jokes about what's going to happen in this movie, to actually be in the theater, seeing in real time some of the things take place that some of us have joked and talked about to certain extents was taking me back a little bit. They actually took some risks with this movie. I have some criticisms with those risks, and I'll get into that in the spoiler section, but I'll be honest with you, on that front alone, I've got to give them some credit. I have longed for a different type of Halloween movie. Now, that's not going to be a popular thing to say. My favorite is Halloween 3, so that alone should tell you I'm okay with different. I wanted something that was going to take weird twists and turns, and something where I'm not expecting what was going to happen. And on a grander scale, I'll actually give Halloween Ends some credit. They took turns and twists that I was like, wow, we're going here. This is a Halloween movie that is not just A, B, and C. This movie is different. This movie is a slow burn. This movie has some extremely graphic kills, but they're more spaced out. There's more development in a sense of the characters. I'm not saying that this movie is a character development masterpiece, but we're certainly seeing the downward spiral of one person in this film more than the rest, that being Corey Cunningham. And I hope you're ready for Corey Cunningham, because he is, for the most part, the main character of this film. So I'm going to leave it right there for the spoiler-free section. This is certainly going to be one of the most, if not the most controversial Halloween movies to date. We have had discussions about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 being very different, discussions about even Halloween Kills being different, other films in the series, Resurrection. I have no doubt in my mind Halloween Ends is going to be a massive divider, with some people loving the new direction and others absolutely hating it. And I don't think that there's necessarily a right or a wrong. It really depends on what you're looking for. I wanted something different. I wanted new characters. I wanted to go into areas that we haven't tapped into. And even though it's not perfect, and I'll discuss my spoiler section why I would have changed, I will give them credit for it. I'm going to give Halloween Ends a 3.5 stars at this moment. I think it was pretty fun. I think it was interesting and different and entertaining. So here we are, guys, the spoiler section of my review. If you don't want to be spoiled, take a hike. Wow. Okay, so the fact that we see Michael in the cave was shown in the trailers, and I was convinced that once we see Michael in the cave, Corey was going to die. But we're led to believe that because Michael hasn't killed in 4 years, he's extremely weak, and he's not able to kill anybody. Corey almost befriends Michael, lures people to Michael. Once he's gone through his really dark downfall, and he, like we talked about, is the town pariah, he lures a cop down to the sewer when the cop is wanting to date the granddaughter, which Corey is now dating, lures him to the sewer, where Corey holds the guy down and Michael kills him. I never thought I would see that in a Halloween film. And you'll also see that Michael is kind of slow to kill him. It takes him a little bit. I remember when Laurie made the line in the Halloween Kills extended version, I believe, she says, every time he kills, he transcends. Maybe that was in the theatrical version too. But I guess what that means is, when he stops killing, that's when he gets weak. It's like Michael really is a supernatural being. I remember we were talking about Michael going back to being a human when this series started, the reboot. That is out the window. This guy is totally supernatural for the most part. And as we see Michael kill, he gets stronger. Corey has accepted the fact that he is going nowhere in this town. Nobody likes him. Despite the fact that Allison wants to like him, he's gone. He takes Michael's masks when he pummels him in the cave. Michael doesn't kill him, which is just bizarre. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. And Corey, as Michael in the film, has the absolute best kill of the movie, where he kills the radio DJ and then cuts his tongue off. So just the fact that the best kill in the movie was Corey was bizarre. Now, things kind of don't really piece together well. We're kind of left with more questions than answers. Why did Michael want to stare out the window? We never got the answer to that. Maybe they figured there's no really good explanation, but we had that in the Flash movie. Maybe we should just ignore that. That's not explored. We don't get into any bit of the psyche of Michael really at all. We just know the fact that he needs to kill to have power, almost like a Freddy character. And when Corey finally decides he's going to go put an end to Laurie, who wants to separate her granddaughter and Corey, well, Corey, as Michael, is going to go take care of her. I gotta give credit to the scene where Laurie acts like she's going to commit suicide, because in that moment, I actually thought that was about to happen. There was a trick, Corey busts in the door, and then they go through a tussle where she shoots him twice, and then all of a sudden, Michael Myers followed Corey back. So in a sense, it's almost like, despite the fact that Corey was helping Michael, at the end of the day truly doesn't care about helping anybody or anything. When he shows up to the house, he takes that mask right back from Corey and snaps his head, which I guess worked for me. I don't know. I think it's cool that Michael is truly just for himself. Kind of makes me think of the way Halloween 6 producer's cut ended. He just gets his clothes on in the black suit and he's like, peace out, I'm going, screw all of y'all. The final scene is okay. It's pretty dark in the theater, so I couldn't see everything of what was going on. And I gotta be honest with you, the whole time I'm thinking, of course they're gonna kill Laurie with Michael. And the fact that that didn't happen kind of surprised me. Not necessarily saying I didn't want to see Laurie die, I guess. Just even the fact at the end of the movie, when they throw him in a compactor, or shredder, if you will, like an industrial shredder, Michael is dead at that point. They strap him to the roof of a car, drive out to the junkyard, and throw Michael in a shredder. Jesus. I mean, this movie took some risks. So I guess where you're wondering what my complaints are with this film, the really only complaint I really have is I think that there's still a better cut of this movie, and the fact that Corey wasn't Michael the whole time. I would have gone the whole way, which can be very controversial. I totally understand that. But they went for it. They started going all the way with this premise, and then Corey dies and Michael's back because he's gotten strength because he's been able to kill people. I would have gone the other way. When Corey went back down there to get the mask from Michael, Corey should have killed Michael, and then he becomes the evil, which is extremely controversial. I can't stress that enough. But if they would have gone that whole way with it, wow, that would have been something else. But they didn't, and they reeled it back a little bit to where Michael shows back up and fights Laurie. This is an interesting ending to this trilogy. When I want something different, Halloween Ends will be one that I will want to grab. So I'm okay with this movie. I've got multiple gripes and things that I would change. There are things that don't totally make sense and things we don't get complete answers for. But this is a different one. This is a slow burn Halloween film, and time's gonna tell. But I'm okay with this movie because it was different and it gave me something else. But this is certainly going to be one of the most, if not the most controversial Halloween films I've ever seen, and the audience is going to be all over the place. Split might even be the right word. So I ask you, What the hell are your thoughts on Halloween Ends? I cannot wait to hear it. And don't worry about having a vastly different opinion of me. Share it down below. I am not going to argue or say you're right or wrong or vice versa. I want to hear your thoughts. So thank you guys for watching this video. That was Halloween Ends. Good God Almighty. Thank you to all my supporters on Patreon. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, and music, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month.